yes, yes. Yes, yes. We are live on the Hot Minutia. I am your host, Barry Long, the second, not the first, not the third. Shout out to Philip P., my man who made that intro for us, made the beat for us. I mean, it breaks down clean, brother. Let me bring in my brother from another mother, Rudy Ramon Reyes. What's going on, boss?
What's going on, man? It is a poppin' night tonight. Lakers are at home at crypto.com to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. They're down at the half right now, but otherwise, I'm good. As you can see, I'm going back to the 09 championship.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Andrew Bynum.
Yep, Andrew Bynum on our test. Yeah, you had
let me ask you this, because I find it conflicting to call it the crypto.com center. It will always be Staples to me.
Yes, it will, because that red button made it Staples. And sometimes it was easy to win there. Sometimes it wasn't easy to win there. Tonight, it's still got a half a game left, but, we don't know if it's going to be easy enough to press that button against 76ers with Embiid and James Harden. So far, they've had their way. They've gone on streaks, but the Lakers are battling back without LeBron James. So
without LeBron,
we'll
shout out to the Lakers. Yep. See if Russell Westbrook can have a good game.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, no, he has not had a good game. He has. Well, he's busy with the trowel and the cement, ready to make that brick house that he's only missing a few. And every game he goes, there's a few more bricks in that house.
He's a Mason now. He's a Mason.
Yeah, he's a Mason. He's part of the Masons. You didn't see the ring on his hand every time he shoots a ball and it bricks? Oh, sorry. My bad. Look, it's all love, Russell.
We're going to sit courtside. You and I, Rudy, one day are going to sit courtside at crypto.com center. And hopefully Russell Westbrook is not on the team when we sit in courtside. But today we're going to talk about a big blockbuster trade that went down. Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. There is also mutual interest from both sides, from Baker Mayfield and the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's other teams that are out there that are being rumored to be interested. The Seahawks are one of them. But the Steelers seem like they're all in. We're also going to talk some basketball today. The New York mayor is expected to announce tomorrow that they're going to waive the vaccination mandate. So Kyrie Irving will be allowed to play home games, and that is a game changer, in my opinion. We're also going to.
It's not only that, though. It's a game changer in Major League Baseball, too, because that means that the New York Mets, as well as the Yankees, will be able to play at home. So that changes dynamics immensely, right? Because you're going to have other teams, spring training. I mean, regular season for baseball is only a couple weeks away, if that. And now you have Major League Baseball with teams coming out of town, hopefully with packed stadiums, as long as COVID doesn't rear its ugly head, down into New York to play against the Mets or the Yankees. So we're going to find out how much this vaccination mandate and the mask associated with it goes bye-bye and by the wayside. So we'll see if Kyrie Irving stops working at Starbucks on a part-time basis and decides to become a full-time player with the Brooklyn Nets, as they lost tonight, in fact, in Memphis against the Grizzlies. And at one point it was close, but the Grizzlies are just too good in the big city of Memphis, Tennessee.
And they got some great barbecue out there in Memphis. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Beale Street, Memphis, baby. If you're in Memphis, go get some of that. Go get some of that.
You gotta stop by Elvis Presley's house. But
you don't really have to. You don't have to. You really don't. It's not in that great of an area. Okay, it's right next to a liquor store on the corner. It's not a good area.
Well, you can go to the Young Dolph Memorial outside the cookie shop.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Well, Memphis has arrived, and a lot of people were thinking that this was just a feel-good story for this season. But when you watch a game of the Memphis Grizzlies, and they're not on prime time all the time, and now that Ja Morant is on Body Armor commercials, now they're starting to get some primetime games. And when you watch the Memphis Grizzlies play, these boys are serious. Yeah, and they are a viable threat.
Small market. Absolutely. They're a small market. Now they're number 2 in the West behind the Phoenix Suns. It's kind of interesting to see these guys play without having Ja Morant, who's been the absolute firecracker, fire starter, the guy behind the barbecue, the one who gets things going, speaking of barbecue in Memphis, to get things rolling with that lovely steamy coleslaw people like to throw on sandwiches like they do in Pittsburgh. But, at the end of the day, Memphis eventually with Ja Morant, if for some reason they lose pieces in the offseason, And of course, it's too early to tell who's going to be in the play tournament and who's going to go and who's going to win and what the matchups are and all of that. But I can tell you this much: John Morant single-handedly, and I give credit to the rest of the team, but single-handedly, he is making a point to be the MVP. I'm just saying. And when that happens, you're going to get some fantastic talent headed into Memphis during the offseason. I guarantee it.
And when most NBA players win an MVP, it's kind of the year before they win the MVP that sets them up for that narrative the next season. So I don't think Ja Morant will win the MVP this season, even though he is, he's one of the top 5 guys that could.
There's still plenty of basketball left to be played, though.
There is. But
there's a reason to suggest that he won't. Now look at Joel Embiid. He's only 2% off of where LeBron James is right now, and maybe he's in the conversation somewhere. But in my opinion, based on watching him play and what he's done all season long, he's definitely in my top 5 as candidates to win the MVP.
For sure. And I would pick Joel Embiid if you had a gun to my head. But I feel like this year is setting up the narrative for next year for Ja Morant to be able to be the MVP. And I feel like he will eventually raise that MVP trophy, but it will be next year, not this year. But
maybe. I hold on a second, and this is what I want to touch on. There was a foul on Joel Embiid at Crypto Center against the Lakers earlier before the half that ultimately expanded his back. As he tried to extend, he was fouled on that play. It wasn't flagrant. It was a play on the ball. But he seemed to get up kind of gimpy. He tried to stretch it out. He did it before halftime. He did it at halftime, almost at midcourt. So, you got to look at the way these players walk off the court when it's halftime or when they walk back on. And that's the difference between having an injury, being on court, and coming back and being on the bench and not starting. That means that there's more to this injury than meets the eye. No, Joel Embiid, for all intents and purposes this season, has been the picture-perfect guy of health. If you look up the encyclopedia of the word health, his picture's right there.
And he's had trouble staying healthy his entire career. Like the whole cliche of trust the process has been thrown around so nonchalantly that people don't understand that part of the process was Joel Embiid having a broken foot for a year and a half and not being able to play for the first 2 years. So it feels like Joel Embiid has finally turned that corner. He's done with the whole Ben Simmons drama, and he's now has a Batman. I don't even know which one is Batman or Robin, but he has James Harden, and they are.
It depends on the night. It's the night they're playing in.
And who is Danny Green? Is he Alfred the butler?
I think he's more like Catwoman.
Oh, wait, man. Shout out to Danny Green. That's terrible, Rudy. Shout out to Bill Senso also. He says, hi, Barry and Rudy. We appreciate you
Bill,
for commenting and watching and supporting the show. Anybody who's watching right now live with us, please comment. We'll shout you out. But let's jump into this Kyrie Irving thing because this is big news, in my opinion. So we just found out that the New York mayor is going to be expected to waive the vaccination mandate tomorrow morning. And this means that no matter what job, what profession you have, you're able to walk inside the building and the people that lost their jobs in New York, I imagine there's going to be a lot of phone calls made tomorrow afternoon. Like, hey, man, can I get my job back? Or, hey, man, I'm suing y'all for I don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that Kyrie Irving is now allowed to play home games. And Kyrie Irving being able to play home games changes the entire landscape of the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, because when you watch Kyrie Irving, he dropped 60 one night, drops 50-something the next night. Like, Kyrie Irving has been performing at a high level all season long. And I feel like, I mean, if he can perform the way he's been performing in the games that he's played at home, I mean, on the road, he's golden. But at home, if he can perform that same way, and you have a healthy Durant, and we're not sure if we're going to see Ben Simmons, be healthy and play for this team, but there's a lot of pieces around. You got Seth Curry. You got Andre Drummond. There's a lot of pieces. There's a lot to be excited
out with an
about.
Ankle injury. Ben Simmons probably won't play for the remainder of the regular season. You may see him in postseason play, and that has yet to be determined. Do you think that this move looked really stale? But no, this is a.
Does this make the Nets the clear cut favorite in the East, or does it make them?
No, absolutely not. It depends on what the 76ers do tonight against the Lakers. Because if for some reason they end up getting on a roll and sustaining that, then you're going to have the Lakers end up basically with another L without LeBron James leading the way, with Westbrook attempting to throw 3 foot, who knows, Wanamakers up at the rim. But you got some really good play with some really tall guys. Malik Monk scoring really well tonight. You got some new fresh faces on the floor. What's it going to cost to retain him after the season's done? That remains to be seen as well. And what do you actually pay him? You pay him what he's worth? I would say so. But at the end of the day, this is great for New York sports in general. Now, it applies to the private sector, which is really good from an athletic standpoint, because that means that these guys, Kyrie Irving, the Mets, the Yankees, any other New York professional sports, I think football also will not have to wear masks. Hockey as well. You have the Rangers, playing at Madison Square Garden in alternating nights when the Knicks are on the road, and vice versa. So, this is really shaping up to be something special for the Nets. If they can only get it in order. Tonight, they lost badly, 132-120 against Memphis. But with Kyrie Irving back, certainly the key to the car, right? You can have the car and it looks pretty, but without the keys, it's useless. You may as well donate to Car for Kids. But at the end of the day, it really shout out to Cars for Kids.
Not shout out to Cars for Kids. They got my car right now. I'm upset with them. I mean, I love kids, but go ahead.
Well, granted, but at the end of the day, these New York teams are going to love Eric Adams when it's all said and done. Whether or not that's going to apply to the public sector as far as massive updates in regards to them wearing the mask or not wearing the mask, that remains to be seen. But as far as the private sector is concerned for sports athletes, that's where the exception is being made.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned that, you can have a beautiful car, and if you don't have the keys, you ain't going nowhere. And honestly, I feel like Kyrie Irving might be the keys to this transmission or this engine. And I feel like when Kyrie comes back fully and he knows that he's going to play every single night in and night out, I feel like he's going to give maximum effort. And I think that this changes the landscape. I'm not ready to say the Nets are going to win the East, but I am definitely ready to say that the Nets will be in the Eastern Conference Finals with just purely Kyrie and KD and the rest of those role players. I feel like this is they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And we'll be talking about them.
Can't forget Boston. Boston's right there in the mix. You can't forget Milwaukee. They're just blowing teams up right now. Milwaukee's always in the mix. They've been in the mix all season long. And I think that when you get these guys going defensively, and then there was some serious defense I actually watched today, which was amazing and kind of, I don't know, it pulled up the man card, for me. I was looking for my own, can I play defense? Can I get down on the floor and, block 4 or 5 shots a game? I mean, I'm 6'1". Maybe I can. I don't know. I have to get my basketball shoes on to find out. But I think overall, this mask mandate removal or the suspension of the mandate, for whatever that means in the long run, is going to be great for sports. It's going to be great for fans. So as long as we take the regular precautionary measures to ensure that it doesn't, everybody's seen Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. This is not what we want to strike back. So follow protocols to the best of your ability. But I think this is great considering the Mets opening day is April 7th, which is going to happen throughout, in Major League Baseball. It's going to be flooded with baseball. So we're going to have to switch gears to talk about baseball, but this is going to be a great season. A lot of great moves in the offseason for Major League Baseball. And I think this is probably going to be one of the most exciting years for baseball, as well as that new CBA was signed not even at the last minute. It was probably a couple weeks too late. Now you lost 2 games of the regular season. How are you going to make that up? Well, you can't. I mean, the World Series, starts somewhere in, November?
Like the beginning of November?
Yeah, so you're going to have a certain teams are going to say, well, we lost 2 games. Thank you, Rob Manfred.
So basically, we're going to be watching baseball on Thanksgiving.
Essentially, pick your poison. The NFL, right? Because you have the NBA. And you're going to have Major League Baseball. So you get to pick your poison as to what you get to watch. Me, personally, I'm going to have both my monitors, one Major League Baseball, one with basketball, and the big one with football. So there's that.
Oh, okay. My man got 3 TVs. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes, and I am Barry Long II, not the first, not the third. And we are live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com, and today'scanada.com. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and everybody for commenting. Shout out to Bill. So you mentioned that, we've seen a lot of good moves and acquisitions in Major League Baseball. I think that this is going to be one of the most exciting football seasons because of all the moves that we've been seeing being made the last couple of weeks. Just the last week. Just the 1 week, it's been like, man, musical chairs all over the place. But Tyreek Hill, who is one of the original members of that cast of Kansas City Chiefs, he was drafted, and it's gonna be a lot different. Tyreek Hill was traded to the Dolphins for 5 draft picks, a first, a second, 2 fourth-round picks, and a 5th. So he's now a member of the Miami Dolphins. I love the move for the Dolphins. I love the fact that you have Tua. Now he has weapons. He's had weapons before. He had Devontae Parker. He also has Jalen Waddle. Now he has Gesicki. Now you add Tyreek Hill, who kind of has a similar skill set to Waddle. But I feel like that with that defense, the way that defense can perform at a high level, and with all those weapons, and let's not forget that Tua's backup is Teddy Bridgewater, who's from Miami. So Teddy Bridgewater could easily end up being the starter if things go wrong for Tua Tagovailoa. But I don't like them to win the AFC East, but I do like them to be number 2 in front of the Patriots, in front of the Jets, behind the Buffalo Bills. What say you, Rudy?
Well, I look at this Tyreek Hill transaction. He got some serious bread. We're talking cheetah cash, baby. 120 million bills. I mean, we're talking he's not going to have to work other than working on the field, working on his body, defining his craft, refining what he does on the field, as well as staying out of trouble in Miami. Tyreek, listen. Stay out of the bars. Don't get into altercations. Get a woman that you can talk to and treat her nicely. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in the same muck as you found yourself in just a couple of years ago, removed from the NFL. Roger Goodell minced no words in regards to what he was going to do with you. And at the end of the day, when you're talking about giving up 5 draft picks, this guy's worth it. He has shown time and time again. Last year, 1,239 yards at 111 receptions. He had 175-yard run back, 9 touchdowns, and 96 yards. Averages 10.7 yards per carry. That is amazing. And we're talking in the 2021 season. So this guy is worth every ounce and every dime, nickel, and penny that they spent on him. Now, you're talking about Tua Tagovailoa. The problem that I have with Tua is that he hasn't taken that next step. He's one of those quarterbacks. We keep talking about this time and time again, but these quarterbacks don't seem to make their next step. For whatever reason, they don't find a way to be that guy, to be the one to go over the top. We talk about it time and time again. Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, even RG3 when he was with the Washington Commanders, then Washington Redskins. We've seen this narrative play out so often that you're not going to see that with Teddy Bridgewater. He's been consistent. He shows consistency when he was in Denver with the Broncos, and now they have an entirely new regime with Russell Wilson. This AFC just got even wilder, but now the AFC East is diving into the pot as well because free agency is still there. Tyreek Hill is a beast. He's a monster, and if Tua can't get it done, they're going to be looking for a quarterback in next year's draft, guaranteed.
Well, I mean, that could very well be the case, but we've seen Teddy Bridgewater bounce around from team to team the last couple of years after that devastating injury that he suffered in Minnesota, where he had teammates crying on the sidelines during practice because it was such a devastating. I mean, this could have literally not only ended his career, could have ended his life because of the nature of that injury. And we've seen him bounce around, and I've always been a Teddy Bridgewater guy. Look, I don't like his demeanor on the field. I feel like your quarterback should have more oomph to you, like Phillip Rivers. I like his demeanor. I even like Baker Mayfield's demeanor over Teddy Bridgewater. But Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that I root for heavily. And him landing at home in Miami after being in all these different random cities, Carolina, New York, he's had home. And I feel like if Tua does mess up, Tua's got to be looking over his shoulder. And Teddy Bridgewater might be the answer short term the next couple of years while they develop whoever they draft. But I think the Miami Dolphins are automatically in the playoffs, in my opinion. I feel like there's 2 teams that come out of the AFC East, and one of them ain't the Patriots.
Well, when you look at the AFC East and you think, to yourself, well, you're going to get Malcolm Butler back. He's serviceable, not the best cornerback. He was really good in the Patriot system because that was where he started. That's where he got his designation. He was a shutdown corner for so long, and then traded off to Tennessee. But at the end of the day, when you look at what the Patriots have done, not a whole lot. Last year, they went into free agency and snatched up 4, 5, 6 guys to get them into that secondary and to beef up that defense. At times, they looked really, really good. Other times, they didn't look so great. Max, certainly on the offensive side of the ball, they did a little mix and match. Of course, we know that they could be contenders because Bill Belichick doesn't have back-to-back losing seasons, at least the last time I checked, in New England. So he's a master of his own destiny, and I really believe they're going to pick up some offensive guys. They're going to pick up a couple younger defensemen in this upcoming draft, and I think you're going to look at the AFC East and think to yourself, it's going to turn into a wild, wild west. But right now, the way New England looks, they're jockeying for second or third position in the AFC East over a Miami Dolphins team, which looks decent on paper. But at the end of the day, it's all about quarterback play. And if they can put that together with Tua under center, I think you're going to find themselves in much better position to take that top 2 seed, because right now the Bills own that AFC East.
And let's not forget that when it comes to the AFC East, the Dolphins started off like 1-6, 1-7, and then they won like 8 straight. And the game where Tua comes in and takes over for Jacoby Brissett, he's still a little injured, and he commanded that offense. And it was night and day, literally, between Jacoby Brissett and Tua Tagovailoa. I know Tua has not made that next step that we all want to see him make, but I don't think that the story is quite done with him. I feel like, we'll see. I feel like this year, Tua is make it or break it for Tua if he wants to be in Miami. He could easily end up, being released or being traded and end up, in a great spot. But I'm really rooting for Teddy Bridgewater, and I love Tyreek Hill. I understand that he has his past issues with domestic violence and stuff like that, but he's 5'10". He's the shortest. He's the smallest thing out there on the field, and he is the fastest thing out there on the field. And it's going to be fun to watch what this offense can do.
It's definitely going to be interesting because I've always called Teddy the bridge over troubled waters, because wherever he goes,
I got to hit you with a shimmy on
that one. he knows how to pick apart certain defenses because he can read them well. He can't read them fantastically, but he can read them well enough to manage the game. And honestly, that's really all you need Teddy to do if Tua can't get it done. It's really about performance and quarterback play for the Miami Dolphins that's going to make this acquisition of Tyreek Hill become even that much better, that much deadlier, and ultimately be competitive and overly competitive because of that quarterback play. And offensive play clearly in the secondary for the Dolphins as well to compete against the Buffalo Bills. So we'll have to see how that works.
Absolutely. And I can't wait. The AFC, I mean, all these divisions are kind of shaping up to be competitive as I don't know what.
Nothing more competitive than the AFC. And the AFC is looking up at the NFC and saying, what you got? And right now, the NFC has nothing. They have only made one splash move, and that was Bobby Wagner coming in to visit the LA Rams. But there was news in regards to whether or not he was going to sign up with them. Now, don't forget, they lost Von Miller to the aforementioned Buffalo Bills.
Yes, sir.
Bobby Wagner, Super Bowl winner, 6-time Pro Bowler. The guy knows how to get it done. And he's almost a younger version of who Von Miller is. And because I can't say that Von Miller is going to be the ultimate major defensive force there in Buffalo, he's certainly going to make a difference there. There's no doubt about it. But this is a younger version when you get Bobby Wagner lined up on that D side. So this is going to be quite interesting to see if they can get this inked in to where Bobby Wagner becomes a Ram. But the NFC hasn't really done a whole lot of nothing, to be honest with you, except for that Matt Ryan trade-off to the AFC to the Indianapolis Colts, which I think is a much better system for Matt Ryan to be in, because Matt, let's be honest with you. Here we look at Frank Reich and we think to ourselves, man, does he deserve a quarterback that can actually play and get under center and get it done? And I think Matt Ryan would be the answer to that. There's no doubt in my mind he'll be able to upgrade. Is he the long-term answer? Maybe not. He's up there in age, but can he get it done? That's a bigger question. So we'll have to see how that plays out in Indy. But the NFC really hasn't done a whole lot of anything up to this point. So we're going to have to find out what the AFC has, find out what the NFC looks like when it's all said and done. because right now the AFC is leading the way in all these massive acquisitions of talent. So we're going to have to see how that works. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we're talking about quarterback play and how the Steelers can really make an impact. Whether or not these rumors are true surrounding Baker Mayfield remains to be seen. I really think that the Baker Mayfield, this is more like a rumor, right? We look at that 80s song Rumors, and we think to ourselves, man, this can't be true. There's something going on here. There's something amidst. I don't see the Steelers doing anything with Baker Mayfield, regardless of what some of these websites really want to propose, as the Steelers are going to go grab Baker Mayfield. Now, for all intents and purposes, they could really make a shocker and go nab him. The problem is that Baker Mayfield at this juncture is still under contract. I don't foresee him getting cut. I foresee him eventually being a starter again, but that labrum injury really, really hampered his play, quarterback play, to prevent the Browns from getting into any type of playoff positioning to make a serious run to get to the Super Bowl. So right now, as it stands, even though Albert Breer's reported it and wonderful and everything they're in, I don't think that the Steelers are in on this Baker Mayfield stint, because I just don't see how he would. I mean, he's got a gun of an arm, but then again, so does Mitchell Trubisky, right? We've seen Mitchell have the tutelage of Josh Allen, but yet Baker Mayfield comes in and has nobody to learn from. I don't know. I think this is a lot more fluff than reality.
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting to see where he ends up landing. But yeah, I honestly like the fact that the Steelers are even interested in Baker Mayfield, because they say keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, and he's been playing against them twice a year the last couple of years, and they know a lot about what Baker can bring to the table. And Mike Tomlin gets the most out of his guys, no matter how crazy the locker room might seem to people from the outside looking in. It's a pretty tight-knit unit, and I feel like this Baker thing, Baker could either make it or break it. He could come in there and shake things up, and and this energy is in the locker room that they don't need, because Mitchell Trubisky seems like he has everything figured out, and this is the revival of his career. So I feel like if you go and get Baker Mayfield, it's just too much. It's overkill. It's too soon. Baker should sit behind Deshaun Watson, in my opinion, because Deshaun Watson is a creep. We've established that. But I also think that he's a good leader on the field. When you're in that huddle and you look to QB1, and QB1 makes you believe, I feel like the guys that look in the huddle towards Deshaun Watson, they're going to believe. And his main issue is off the field. But yeah, I'm happy that they're interested, but I just don't see him being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
No, I think this is a lot more to do about nothing at this juncture. I really don't know how. I can say this much for almost certainty: that Mitchell Trubisky is a lot more mature under center, a lot more mature of a quarterback, a lot more mature of a personality, an attitude, a demeanor. He commanded that offense when he was in Buffalo. I can't say that he had a whole lot of great success in Chicago, even though he was picked first overall by the Bears. But then again, who isn't the savior when it comes to Chicago Bears quarterbacks? I mean, it's been an absolute nightmare since what, Jim McMahon, and now
McMahon was a nightmare.
He was. But one thing that he did do is help them win a chip, which is a lot different than any of the aforementioned quarterbacks. When you look at what Justin Fields now has to contend with, a new head coach, a new system, he has to learn it all over again. And it's going to be a learning curve for any new quarterback that's going into a system that's been established. They're going to have to learn the hard way. And there may be some similarities. Maybe the learning curve may not be that difficult. Baker Mayfield has a very high IQ. So if the Steelers somehow, some act of God, he gets to be involved in this organization, he may not have a whole lot to contend with when it comes to understanding the system, understanding the playbook, what the play calls are, because he has familiarity playing the team, as you stated, time and time again for the last few seasons. In its entirety. Of course, they don't have any major backups now, but they don't need a backup because they could have Deshaun Watson being the guy under center. That remains to be seen. I don't know that Deshaun Watson is an upgrade from Baker Mayfield, and we've had this conversation time and time again because we don't know who's going to show up under center for the Cleveland Browns this upcoming season. They could keep Baker Mayfield there as tutelage and getting Deshaun Watson back up to par because there is a pending suspension by the NFL for Deshaun Watson. So there's a lot to unravel. It's going to unravel a lot faster than it is later.
Absolutely. And it's going to unravel just as fast as those progressive commercials are yanked off the TV screens because they got to find maybe Deshaun Watson becomes a new progressive guy. Maybe they have to call Flo like, hey, Flo, we need you back.
Can you fill in?
but yeah, for sure. It's going to be exciting to see, where he ends up landing. You still have guys out there like Cam Newton who's looking for a job, and just guys that could easily come in and spot start here and there. But I like Baker. I like Baker in Seattle. I don't think Drew Lock is the answer, and I think that he and Pete Carroll, their energy and just their personalities would mesh well. And I feel like that would be a pretty good landing spot. It's a tough division, but at the end of the day, I feel like that would be a better landing spot for him than Pittsburgh.
Sure. Yeah. No doubt about it. Let's shift over. I want to talk about this Conor McGregor thing. And yeah, you've seen him on commercials selling his whiskey. What is it? Lucky number 1 or Lucky or whatever it is. I don't really know. But there's really nothing lucky about being pulled over and having traffic violations associated.
I think it's Lucky 12
with your Lucky. I think it's number 12. Yeah, I think you're right. Too bad it's not tattooed on his chest. I'd be able to see what the name of it was. But at the end of the day, alleged road traffic violations. He passed a drug and alcohol test. So there's nothing to really suggest that he did anything wrong. But again, it is in a different country. They handle things a little bit differently. Oh, it's Conor McGregor. I guess I'm going to pull over and, I'm going to bow down. I'm going to ask him for an autograph or whatever. I mean, this is really, again, a whole lot of nothing. I mean, he's 33. He hasn't done all that well since stepping back into a UFC ring. But when he does,
because he got paid.
And when you have money, you don't need to fool around to do anything you shouldn't be doing. Conor McGregor, unfortunately, has found himself at the end of negativity, at the end of people who want him out of be banned from the UFC because of his violations. He pleaded guilty in 2019 to 1,000 euros because he got fined in a Dublin bar. I mean, the guy is a walking, going to tear you up kind of mentality, which he really needs to steer away from because it's hurting his own credibility. And we've seen this time and time again with NFL players, Major League Baseball players, anybody who plays sports who makes lots of money find themselves in trouble. They just need to stay out of it and they'll have a much better career.
I agree. And Conor McGregor, let's not forget, he also got arrested in like 2018 for the whole thing that happened in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, and throwing the chair at the tour bus, and just he's had his issues, but I feel like he is great for the UFC just because he talks smack, and nobody talks smack better than like Ric Flair in the WWF. Floyd Mayweather was the best smack talker. He was like Muhammad Ali, a current Muhammad Ali. But when you saw Conor McGregor talking back to Floyd Mayweather and giving him that same energy, you were like, man, this guy's better. He's better at ish talking than Floyd Mayweather. So he was like, yo, you're Money Mayweather, I'm Money McGregor. And it was like, ooh. So I feel like if he stays out of trouble and he gets back in the gym and he dedicates himself to the sport the way he did when he was up and coming before he got paid, then he's good for the sport. But he cannot keep getting arrested. And I know these are traffic violations. You said Lucky 12. He probably got about 12 traffic violations. He probably gonna do about 12 days in jail. And have to pay like $12,000 in fines. But but I do like him. I like him a lot, and I wish the best for him. But Conor McGregor is just you can't put a what's the thing? You can't put a lasso on a Mustang. What is the line that they use for Dennis Rodman in the last dance?
There's actually a lot you can use. The zebra never changes his stripes. Giraffe can't get shorter. I mean, there's all types of euphemisms in regards to what that actually looks like from that perspective. No, I think, look, his ability to be the guy in a UFC match and his ability
being arrested.
For
traffic violations.
Sure. Yeah, no, exactly. I think he can shine his image up if he just stays out of bars and he stops drinking his lucky number 12, or that could land him 12 times being in jail for 12 days. You know, there's a lot of euphemisms for
your
12.
Body is made up of what, 70% water?
Yeah.
I imagine that his body is made up of 70% whiskey. So I'm surprised that he passed an alcohol
probably 12% whiskey.
So let's get into the meme of the day before we get out of here, man. You know I love memes of the day, and this is pretty relevant because we've heard about Jackson Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes' brother, and he's been dragged through social media on Twitter. And to be fair, he does it to himself because he's out there. He's so prevalent on social media, but this was the meme of the day, that Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill is Jackson Mahomes. Because we forget that team is going to look way different. I know they have Travis Kelce, but and they have Edwards Helaire, and they got some other good receivers, Pringle and Harmon, but Tyreek Hill was the difference maker on that team when it came to the weapons that Patrick Mahomes had, and he no longer has his security blanket.
No, not at all. And I really think that Tyreek Hill, obviously he did it for the money. He gave up a ton of picks for him out of Miami, given to the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is a lot more about cashing in when you can. And I don't think it was anything personal at all whatsoever. Even his own team and the players on there, like Mecole Hardman, is a guy who found himself saying, "Wait, what just happened?" He was caught off guard by this news. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes was probably thinking the same thing, like, wait, what just happened again? Take me back. I didn't see him tweet anything at all about this, but, I wish Tyreek Hill the best. Just stay out of trouble when you're in Miami. But Kansas City certainly still has a ton of weapons left. The upcoming draft will also be a part of that class where they find a speedy wide receiver. There are some guys out there, even those guys in an HBCU, which is a different tier of college football. We're talking about the smaller colleges, the
historically black colleges,
and so those are the ones you're going to find a diamond in the rough at, and some guys are shining really, really bright. It's just a matter of time before somebody on an NFL team actually pays enough attention to get on their radar to find a way into the NFL.
And you're right. There's a lot of fast dudes in those HBCUs and the MEAC conference and the SWAC and all those conferences. And shout out to Deion Sanders before we get out of here. Shout out to Deion Sanders for being the coach of an HBCU and actually drawing in top recruits, because HBCUs have traditionally never been able to get not even a top 1,000 player. And now they got the number one guy this past season, and it's because of Deion Sanders. So shout out to him. Rudy, real quick, let them know where they can find you at, boss.
You can go to @RootDogReyes on Twitter, go to LinkedIn, you can go to therootdogshow.com where this show will be posted. You can follow me on social media. You can find me anywhere, really.
Absolutely. And you can also find me on Facebook, the way it's written right there, Barry Long 2. And you can also find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long or IG at Barry Long II. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate Bill Senso for commenting, saying hi, Barry and Rudy. It doesn't feel like we had a show if he doesn't say that. So shout out to Bill Senso. Y'all stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember you're capable of doing anything. So go out and freaking do it. We'll
get it done.
Get it done. Get her done.
Get her done.
Peace.